And so this is obviously at Watches and Wonders this year?
Yeah, Watches and Wonders a month ago.
Yeah, it was last month.
I'm still cold.
Still cold.
Yeah.
It's getting colder now.
And we were in Geneva first time. So the idea, we've sold 15,000 watches mainly in Australia since the beginning of Bausele, and part of that rebrand, we now want to take on, outside of Australia and sell that beautiful Australian lifestyle to the world. And the best place for that was, start with Watches and Wonder in Geneva, which is the mecca of watchmaking, and on the back of that we've been accepted part of the 40 brands of the Geneva Watch Days. So you'll see us at the Geneva Watch Days at the end of August with only 39 other brands, and Bausele is part of that, and we had to put an application in front and being accepted, and we were accepted. So we are slowly getting into outside of Australia, the US, France, and
And did you bring the Australian concept to Watches and Wonders this year?
We
to showcase what it's like to be in Australia? Because I know with the Europeans, they always think, oh, Australia's so far away. It's like a 24-hour flight. And they all think we have pet kangaroos and walk to school.
We couldn't take a kangaroo, but we took some big signage. One beautiful image of the sun rising Christo Ocean swimming at Manly. We took another one from up North Head, which is more a bush scene for the field watch, and then we just had an incredible image of Balmoral, with some beautiful houses and some yachts and someone paddleboarding and other people walking on the beach, just showing that Australian lifestyle, because there are so many places like that the world doesn't get to see, that are just here on our doorstep. They're everywhere. Whereas Christo we actually made a scent that smelled like the Australian bush.
Right.
And we had it, and you walk in, you could smell this, and Christo would say to every single person that came in, "Welcome to Australia." And some people would say, "This is my first time in Australia. I've always wanted to go." And they really loved what we had, and they could see straight away how this new collection that we're about to launch really fit with who we are as a country and who we are as a brand, and also in what we stand for.
Okay.
The making of time and the Christo's ocean swimming and the cafe beach lifestyle here that's so aspirational for everyone around the world that, as you said, the flight's too far. But if the people, living overseas for me, I get to meet people all the time, and I get to hear what they think of Australia. They always say, it's on my bucket list, or it's too far, or the last one they say is, I was there, and it doesn't matter if it's 50 years ago or 50 days ago.
Yeah.
Their eyes light up, and they're just, they have the best memories.
Okay.
And that's the lifestyle that we live here, and we're so lucky.
We started the week at Geneva with 28 meetings planned, which is already
It's quite a week.
It's
It's
pretty
a
good.
big week.
Yeah.
We ended up at 52 meetings.
52 meetings.
52 meetings
over
in 5 days.
5 days.
It was just like going bam, 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 bam. Everybody wanted to see us and meet that Australian brand.
That's great.
We didn't talk about watches. They've been talking about, there's 150 watch brands there.
You're the watch fan that talk about watches.
No, but it's all about watches. So we were welcoming them in Australia, telling them about the Australia, and then they sit down, and then of course we will talk about watches and look at the all of the beautiful watches that we're making and the detail that we're putting into each design. But it was more the lifestyle we were selling, and people felt comfortable with us, and they stayed longer because they were like, this is cool here, we're not telling you, and here, and this is 200 meter, and this is 42 centimeters, and no, it's like, we were more, it was more come in, makers of time again.
Yeah.
I think the reason we were able to do that is because of the watches we've created, whether it be the Ocean Moon or the New Sydney Diver. They really complement that lifestyle that we were presenting. So you could talk about the watches without talking about the watches.
That's true.
And it was I loved it. It was such a good fit. My favourite was at the end of the week. It was probably 5:30 Friday afternoon, meeting number 52 or 53, and we asked someone to come and have a look, and the guy said, "Oh, I'm very busy. Sorry, very busy." And he asked someone else.
I've got a plane. He said, "I've got a plane."
Yeah, I've got a plane. He's made up some excuse or whatever. And then he came
wash
back.
my hair.
Yeah, and he came back and sat down for a minute, and he went, "I know you guys. You guys are doing US Army thing with the veterans and blah, blah. And then he sat and he looked at the Sunrise collection and he said, you guys are going to blow up in America with this. They're an American, I think it was Watchonista?
Yes.
It was Watchonista, and he said, hi guys. He said, I absolutely love this collection.
Okay.
And he thought that the Field Watch was his pick of the fair.
Wow.
And considering he was so jaded, to win him back in, and he spent 45 minutes with us when he was
He was about to.
when we first talked to him, he was disgusted that we even acknowledged him.
Yeah.
Because I think we bring another approach, and also because you're meeting, the founder and the partner. You're meeting the partners of the brand. You're not meeting someone that's working and that's an employee. It's a bit different of a feel. There's passion and passion for more than only watches. It's a lifestyle.
And I think it was important for us to tell them who we are.
Yeah.
And who we are as a people brand. We want to connect with you. And of those 52 meetings, we're making friends and we're enjoying. I had a ball. I mean, at the end of every day, I just wanted to sit in silence and not talk at all. But I loved it. We'd get in the lake in the morning and then we'd get pumped up to meet new friends. It was such a great week, and I can't wait to get back to Geneva Watch Days.
Yeah. So, Arron, you touched on the US Army partnership.
Yeah.
And I believe you've got a quite an interesting story of how that partnership came about.
Yep. I moved to the US in about 9 years ago, and I was taken aback by the homelessness. Incredible. Sure, we have homelessness here, but it was everywhere, every corner. And when I lived not far from the VA building in Brentwood, and I drove past there year after year, the same guys just camped out the front, and they'd have their little makeshift tents and their American flags.
Okay.
And they're people who have gone to serve the country, and they've come back and fallen through the system. And my wife and I always wanted to do something about it, because we, as I said a minute ago, we're people. We're all in this together. And the Royal Australian Air Force were giving a percentage of royalties to restoring old planes, which is amazing. But I wanted to do something with the people. After the Royal Australian Air Force became the official watch of the Invictus Games, which is Prince Harry's Invictus Games for disabled athletes, I went there and I'd met some of the veterans and I'd heard their stories, and I finished a lot of conversations in tears, and especially watching some of the events, and thought, if these guys can overcome this, I can overcome anything. But I wanted to do more, so it came to me that we could set up a watch designed by a watch similar to the Royal Australian Air Force watch, but with the US Army or with one of the US military divisions. I was going to reach out to all of them, and with a percentage of sales going towards helping get veterans off the street.
Okay.
I started with the US Army because a good friend of mine, Jamal Ali, is a veteran, and we talked a lot and helped each other a lot over the years, and he was from the Army, so I jumped on the website, contact form, cold called them, and I pitched them a story, expecting never to hear from them again. And then after, I was going to wait, and then when I didn't hear from them, I was going to go to the Navy, then to the Air. I was going through the lot. And then on the very next morning, I had an email back from them saying, "Dear Mr. Coote, while we've never given a license to a non-US brand, we find this concept very interesting." And I had to check it several times to see it was a legit email, because I thought it was Christo revving me up, because I thought, there's no way I'm going to hear back from the Army, and especially not the next day.
Yeah.
And everyone I've told that to within the Army, they say, "I'm in the Army and I can't get an email answered in a day." So I did something right. And now we have a watch. Christo wanted the watch. We were having a watch designed by veterans. Christo wanted to get it assembled by veterans, to actually employ veterans. One, by giving them input into the design, they loved it, it gave them validation, but taking it one step further and allowing them to have them assembled by veterans was a next level. And then a percentage of all sales go towards helping get veterans off the street, or helping all veteran causes, because there are so many over there, like tens of thousands of associations. And we're not, the big branded ones get all the big corporate checks, and we're hoping to help the smaller ones that need help, to whether it be to keep the horses fed for their horse therapy for the 3 guys that go and pat the horses every morning, or there's a plethora of them. It's unbelievable how many.
So all the watches here are assembled by veterans?
The US Army watches are.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
Which
assembled.
ones are the US Army ones?
So
these two?
Yeah, these four. So that's
Okay.
the two field. Field come in it's
So-
black and a beige
Black and
dial.
beige. So the field watches?
And the diver as well with the
Okay.
beige and the black dial. The black being the one that's really special for the US Army, which has the case back with the US Army logo.
All right. Okay.
So both black have the US Army logo in the back, meaning that they are official watch of the US Army.
Okay.
And a few people have asked me over the time, why an Australian brand helping the US Army?
Yeah.
And I go again back to that people thing. Australia's fought in every battle with the US. And as an Australian, you never leave your mate.
Yeah.
You help. And being over there for the last 9 years, I couldn't not do something. I couldn't not help. And I think that's just the Australian spirit. It's what you do. And, we like to build watches or have a product with a purpose. And the brand needs to stand for something.
Yeah.
And we stand for people and helping people. And I go back to my breakdown in my early 20s. It was hell. And it took me a long time to get out of it. And if we can help people suffering in any way, in any form, I don't care who they are, the world's a better place because we're trying.
Yeah.
I think, and I always say that on this project, I wake up every day. I could get home at 6 o'clock. Not that those days are way over, but I could get home at 6 a.m. and at 6:30 be fresh up for work and doing this because I'm getting to speak to amazing people all around the world who are taking it upon themselves to do, to really try and help this cause.
Yeah.
And it's getting us great press. The New York Times, Le Monde in France, Europa Star, Time and Tide have given us a few stories. It's something we're very proud of. I mean, growing up in Maroubra Beach in Sydney as a kid here, I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that we'd be working with the Royal Australian Air Force, then the Invictus Games, and then the US Army, like helping get veterans off the street. I don't know whose life this is, but it's pretty amazing.
It is.
I never thought I'd end up in Geneva with Christo,
In the lake,
In the lake.
7 a.m.
presenting watches to the world, but I'm up for the adventure.
Yeah. So this is the new collection that you've presented?
Yeah, so it's about to launch. So it's not
It's
there
not out
yet.
just yet?
It's not out just yet. It's called the Endless Sunrise. Why? Because you can see the colors, orange, yellow of the sun rise in the morning. You can even see them here. The blue of the ocean and the white of the wash of the ocean. And that's it's a beautiful collection that I can't wait to get out.
Yeah.
It's absolutely stunning. The colors are so on point. It's the whole brand is coming together, and that those models are the result of all that work that's been put into the brand the last year.
Okay.
It's a culmination of all of the hard work, and it's
Yeah.
also, it's Christophe surrounded by those colours every morning.
Yeah.
He's completely immersed in them, and for us, it's just it makes sense. And when we told the Australian story in Geneva, and then they saw that collection,
Yeah.
they said, "Yeah, I get
That's
it.
Australia.
Yeah, I get it."
So what's in the crown of this collection?
It's
The
this
sand from
Manly.
Manly?
Every morning, the first thing that touches his feet, the sand at the beach.
Yeah.
No matter how cold it gets, it's still there.
That exact sand here.
Yeah.
Okay. And so these are launching when?
They will be in pre-order in about a month.
Are these limited or how?
Yes, so they're Swiss made, limited to 100
Okay.
in each color.
Right.
And like every Bausele watch, they're all limited. So we only do limited edition watches. Then, of course, the orange might come back with something a little bit different. We might have another orange, but it will be always a little bit different.
Okay. And I think we forgot to talk about the actual design of the case. So this is
That's the
the
diver.
mil spec, right?
Yeah, that's the diver, which is the mil spec. Why? So there's a mil spec 46374G.
Wow.
And you just look at page 34 and it will tell you that's exactly how it needs to look.
Okay.
It's a document the Department of Defense put out in the US in 1991
Yeah.
about what a dive watch needed to be
Okay, so
in order to be approved for use in the field.
Right.
This is the same for the field watch, but the field watch is page 31.
Okay.
It was quite fascinating to go through that document, and I talked it through with some of the veterans in a little group, and they went deep and got creative and different points, and this could mean this, and then there was Annie Ward, one of the girls there. She knew more than all the boys, and it was just such a fun. Everyone got lost in it.
Okay.
It was an hour or two of just completely riffing off each other's stories and making things up about what it could be and what it could be for, and it was pretty amazing to be a part of. He spent most of the time with them. I only got an hour or two.
Okay.
But that Endless Sunrise collection takes the same case, and what I love about this case is the side, how thin it is. It's only a 9.5 millimeter watch, so it fits super well on the sleeve.
Yeah. I think we're all wearing the.
But also goes in the ocean very well. Super sleek, super comfy. They've got a ceramic bezel. I mean, like everything we do, it's the highest quality. Even the inside of the case back has a perlage in the inside, something that no one will ever see except for the watchmaker.
Yep.
So yeah, and it comes with a second strap. We're still debating if they all will come with the orange strap.
Go with
We'll
the
see.
orange. Go with the orange.
We'll see. But it comes with a Milanese, which
So one of these.
one of these
Yeah.
exactly, and that's a very cool watch too. That's the same case. We've made that with Liqui Moly and the Bathurst 12 hour. And that was cool, and of course looks like a GMT, we all know,
Yeah.
but that's the color of Liqui Moly, the
Not
blue and the
Pepsi.
red. It's not Pepsi, it's Liqui Moly, of course, but yeah, it looks really good.
And one day, that'll be worth a lot of money.
Yeah, because it's
There's a piece of Mount Panorama in the crown, the actual Mount Panorama sign.
Okay.
There is a piece of that in the crown there.
How'd you manage to do that?
Well, we got special permission
Okay.
from the government.
Yeah.
For the winners, we were allowed to make 4 watches, 3 for the winners and 1 for us.
Okay.
So you're actually wearing a piece of Mount Panorama on your wrist.
Wow. But the rest of the range, will that still have the sign or?
That has some rubber marble from the tyres
Okay.
of the cars that race on the track.
Yeah.
They scrape the track and collect the rubber. So you actually have a piece of the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing. So what's in store for Bausele going forward?
We're taking over the world.
One watch at a time?
No, as I said before, many watches at a time.
No, but yeah, truly selling the best of the Australian lifestyle to the world, and just try to expand and have a lot of makers of time everywhere, and yeah, that's why we were in Geneva. People love that story. We've got some good press around the makers of time. So yeah, going into the US thanks to the US Army collaboration and Europe. And just expand and have fun and enjoy and continue to swim in the morning and continue to do jiu-jitsu and just have a good time.
Christo tries to get me into swimming each
Okay.
morning, and I try to get him into jiu-jitsu.
It's combined to let's do jiu-jitsu on the beach
Yeah.
after you swim.
After swim, maybe.
Jiu-jitsu stuff.
No, I think we want to just continue to build our community of like-minded people who want to make the time to do the things that are important to them.
Yeah.
We don't tell you what to do. Just make the time for it.
Yeah.
And one day I was getting out of the water at this exact place, and there was a girl. She would have been like 25, and she was knitting, looking at the sunrise, and it caught my eyes with a 25-year-old knitting. To me it wasn't obvious, and she looked happy, and she came back every day. I never talked to her. I don't know who she is or anything, but she was knitting, a jumper. And every morning at 6 a.m. she was looking at the sunrise, knitting, and that was make the time. And she was then going to work and having a normal life, but she starts the day doing this, Let's make the time.
Yeah.
What do you do to make the time?
and I wish I have the answer to that question. I do this.
Yeah, podcast.
No, actually, no. That reminds me. So, a lot of people don't like winding up their watches. They put their watches on watch winders, or they rather go quartz. But for me, I actually like winding up my watch every morning. And I'm not sure if you guys know, but I have way too many watches, and so I don't wear one watch more than a day at once. So every time I pick up the watch, it's already stopped. And I like having that ritual of winding up the watch, set the time, put it on my wrist, and that for me, that connects me to the watch, and that starts my day off.
It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that, especially if it's a manual winding. I just love it too.
Especially if it's a manual wind, you can hear the click while
Oh,
you wind
the
the
click,
watch.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So that's for me. That's my time to set the time.
We make the time to make the time.
Make time to make the time. Yes, exactly. All right.
It's good, mate.
Thank you very much for taking the time and making the time to do the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. And so thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for your support. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment if you'd like to see more of these sort of in-depth interviews with brands. See you all next time.